standing outside the Intercontinental Hotel in downtown Toronto, one of the press and media hubs for the Toronto International Film Festival. We're about to go inside to interview the cast and crew of the new biopic, Pedro, about the life of Pedro Zamora, an HIV activist and openly gay man who became a star of MTV's The Real World.
I would like to make a toast, since this is our first meal together in our new fantastic house, to good food, new friends, and
new adventures.
Salud.
Salud.
What?
Why is this an important story to be told? What does Pedro, as a figure in pop culture and as a man, represent?
He just did something to raise awareness at a time when it wasn't spoken about. You know, it was a disease that really wasn't spoken about. People didn't know anything about it, and they were scared. And, you know, he made it human for people.
What's the difference between HIV and AIDS?
Billy, I don't want to talk about it.
I know you don't want to talk about it, Billy, but if I'm going to take care of you, I need to know everything about it.
I don't want anybody to take care of me.
What attracted you to telling Pedro's story?
Well, I had a personal, emotional connection to Pedro's story. I was 18 years old when I watched The Real World back in many years ago, and I was really moved by Pedro's story. You know, I related to him coming from this large Hispanic family, poor background. I wasn't out at the time, but I think Pedro really planted the seed for me, just to start thinking about, you know, living more out and getting comfortable with. You know, just wanting to understand HIV and AIDS, and I hadn't known anyone at the time, so for me it was a groundbreaking experience, and to sort of be part of it is just beyond, just amazing experience.
At the time he found out that he had AIDS, he was 17 years old. He could have easily fallen into just, you know, incredible depression and just given into self-pity, and that could have been the end of him. We would have never known who he was. And instead, at that moment, he made a really crucial choice to try to get out in the world and take the time remaining to him and do something significant with it. And I think the largest message Pedro gives us is that you know, no matter what's happened against you, you can overcome it and use it to do something in the world. And that, to me, is the most touching aspect of him.
Rachel, you're not hearing him out.
He's the one with the disease. He should be making me feel comfortable. And I know, that's selfish, but you know what? That's how I feel.
Here comes the cavalry. Rachel, it's not only selfish, but it's wrong. Because every morning when I wake up and I say, I'm gonna go educate my community on my disease, that's the choice I'm making.
What do you hope audiences take away from the film?
Well, I think Pedro Zamora's story is very important today because he was an activist. He came out of like this sort of Reagan Bush era of complete sort of like, you know, suppression of information, and he into an era of Clinton kind of progressivism where he was like speaking out. And he's when AIDS was considered like, you know, the most deadly disease on the planet, and when he, you know, being gay even in the public eye was very uncommon, he just went out and did it. So he took like this, you know, he had balls. He just had incredible, like, bravery to do what he did. And by doing that, you know, he changed the world. I mean, how many people have not become HIV positive because they saw The Real World? How many people have gained AIDS awareness through Pedro's story, gay and straight? It's like countless, you know, all over the world. So that's the example of like what you can do in a shit situation, is being an activist.
What is it about that Pedro's story that you felt was important, that got you involved in the project?
Well, I mean, his story in general. I mean, he just the fact that all he did in you know, the little time that he had, I thought I mean, it's very inspiring. How he, you know, he turned something negative into something positive.
You want to make me the bad guy, but
given that a lot of the times when he was on The Real World, you know, the cameras were on him, and he was definitely on, and you know, he was always on message in general, because he always felt like, you know, he had to push forward and, you know, get the message out there. And he really, you know, was able to reach such a large audience, and that was by his doing, his choice.
instead you want to go behind my back, bashing me to the other roommates. I thought we were all in this together.
This is very scary to me, and I knew some of you were gonna have problems with it.
How did you balance out being sympathetic and being loving, as well as finding how to express her kind of discomfort with his homosexuality?
It wasn't really hard because I'm Puerto Rican. They're a Cuban family. I'm the oldest sister of like a lot of 3 brothers. So I don't know. It's kind of like innate. It's kind of like it just all of those little complex characters equals complex things equal a Latina woman.
Es lo que les representa el programa Real World. Desafortunadamente, para Zamora, quien está infectado con el virus del SIDA, su batalla por la vida aparentemente está llegando a un final, ya que los médicos le han dado muy pocos días de vida.
These people are so stupid, they don't even know what they're talking about. They don't know anything.
I think Pedro very much was a catalyst for promoting, more positive portrayals of gays and people in the LGBT community, people with HIV. From my experience, I feel like there was a rush to be more inclusive, and I feel like that's kind of faded away. I think, I just remember reading a sort of article about, there being less gay characters in television, and definitely I haven't seen, as many sort of HIV storylines out there. And I think it's great to get the discussion going again. I think there's a complacency that's perhaps set in with some parts of the community, and I think Pedro's story was timely then, and is very timely now. And I think to continue that conversation is really important.
Thank you very much, guys. Here with the creative team behind Pedro, a new film about Pedro Zamora. I'm Matt Thomas, right at TIFF.